Mike Pachelli here. For this lesson, I'm going to talk about From Me to You as recorded by the Beatles on March 5th, 1963. Now, From Me to You was actually the Beatles' first #1 hit in the UK. They had success with Love Me Do and Please Please Me, and they were looking for a follow-up. So while on the road with Helen Shapiro, who was the headlining act in that time of February of '63, they came up with From Me to You, written by John and Paul on a tour bus, 50-50, all from scratch. But they got the idea from, they were looking at a newspaper called the New Musical Express, and there was a column in there called From Us to You. They changed the title slightly, and boom, they had a title for a song, which was, like I've talked about in earlier lessons, the impetus for them to get rolling, and there they go, once they had the title. They liked songs back in those days that had, you know, things, words and lyrics that their listeners could really identify with. That's why there was plenty of me's and you's in the titles of their early songs. So that's what they were trying to do, relate to the audience. But the idea for the chord structure actually came from a previous tour when they were on the road with Roy Orbison. They had witnessed him writing Pretty Woman, which is in a key of A, but the bridge goes, I believe, to D minor. So From Me to You, which is in the key of C, they had a little something different. The bridge goes to G minor, and that was a, you know, a pretty big deal for them back in those days, and helped them write some other songs with this new kind of melodic twist, which is kind of usual for jazz tunes, but it wasn't very usual for rock tunes. So in the studio on March 5th, they did 7 takes, live to tape, playing all the instruments and singing at the same time. And then they did overdubs after take number 7, which was the best take. They overdubbed the harmonica, which, fun facts to know and tell, was borrowed from Malcolm Davis, who was a tape cutter at Abbey Road. And later John said, "I think smelled like potatoes." And they also overdubbed George's lower octave part, which I'll show you a little bit during the harmonica solo. And they stuck that da 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 in the beginning. And fun facts to know and tell also is From Me to You is the first Beatles song where they used the Little Richard woo. And when they were on that tour with Helen Shapiro, one of the other artists had said he heard him working it out, and they were trying out that woo. He said, "Oh, your fans are gonna think you're a bunch of puffs." But they didn't listen to that guy, and you know, the Beatles were pretty clever at not listening to other people certain times and making the right decisions. The record was mixed on March 14th. There's a lot of discrepancies between the mono and the stereo mix. Like there's no harmonica on the intro of the stereo mix, and there's other weird discrepancies, like right before the actual solo, which I'll talk about in a minute. They played the song live. There's a lot of places you can go and see live versions of it, because they played it a lot live. It was a great live tune, and they actually did it on the second Ed Sullivan show, when us kids in North America would have heard it for the first time. But it wasn't released on any official Beatles record, album, I should say. VJ, a small record company, released it in May, I think, of '63, and then Capitol didn't release it till like April of '64. So a lot of newer Beatle fans, you know, wouldn't have even heard this song until it came out on Past Masters, which I think was 1988. But it's just it's a gem, and I think it's a great song to have in your bag of tricks, full of joy and just, you know, that early Beatles bravado. So I think that's the backstory. Let's get started. If you see photos of the Beatles rehearsing From Me to You in the recording studio, you'll notice that John and George are using their Gibson J160Es. And those are acoustic guitars with electric pickups. But if you listen to the mono version, and I like to always teach off of the mono versions of the records, because that's how the Beatles intended us to hear them, it sounds to me like he's playing, like John is playing his 325. So that's why I'm playing this Rickenbacker 325. But like I said, you can simulate the same tone through the Gibson J160E because of that P90 pickup played through a 1963 Vox AC30, and that's what I'm playing through. So any road, in order to play the intro, you need these chords. You'll need a C, voice like that. has a G in the bass. It could actually be called C over G, but it's just John's voicing his C chords with a G on the sixth string. You'll need an A minor, like that. You'll need a G7, voiced like this. You'll need an F, voiced like this. Move that up 2 steps to get a G, voiced like this. And right before the bridge, there's a C7. Okay, now, John isn't doing anything that particularly interesting on the rhythm on this particular song. He's just driving straight ahead. But the rhythm that he's using is sort of the same sort of rhythm that you heard in other 50s doo-wop songs and rhythm and blues songs. It's pretty much just straight ahead. But there's three variations that he alters. He either plays 1, 2, and 4 and, which is, or 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But there's always the accents on the first one, on 1, 2, and 4 and. That sounds like that's the predominant groove that he's going for. But sometimes his hand just keeps going. So there'll be charts and tabs where I'll write out as close as I can exactly what he played on the 45. But it sounds like this, you know. That's the intro. So it's 1, 2, and 4 and done. And it's always good to get your trusty metronome. It's around 138, I believe, and play along with that, you know, just to get the feel, right? All right, so for the verse, it's you know, C to A minor, C, then to the G7, down to F, A minor, C, G, C, A minor. Right, let me just play it for you. 1, 2, ready, go. Second verse. That's where the C7 comes in. Okay, and again, I suggest, you know, even taking half of that, make sure you get that feel. Take it down to like, you know, 90 something, 96 maybe, and just really dig in and get the feel. And sometimes they anticipate some of those chords too. So if you want to get that perfectly, again, I'll write it out just the way it was on the record for the chart and tabs. Okay, on the bridge, a couple new chords. You'll need a G minor, voiced like this. And then he plays one of those 4-note C chords, which in my hands is just too big to get, but he voices it like this. Right? An F. And then you'll need a D7, voiced like that. And you'll need, again, the G to a G augmented. And augmented just means the 5th scale degree of the chord goes up a half step. So instead of a D, you have a D sharp. All right? And basically same rhythm there too. So on the bridge, from the C7, I can't get that chord. Right, so that was G minor to that tight little C to F. Now here's the only unusual thing he does. On the D7, he voices the D7, but he plays straight 8th notes, but the first 2 8th notes are on the down strum, and the second 2 are on the up. So it's like, right? Kind of sounds like woolly bully. And then quarter notes on the G. So let me play the bridge. Help me out, Mr. Metronome. I get so many letters about the metronome. I got it back in the 70s. It's just an old wind-up guy that's still ticking. Ah, the technology of the past. So the bridge from the C7 to I got on. Right? Okay, and then back to the little, you know, da-da-da that you want. Now, when you see the Beatles do the song live during this little harmonica and the George octave solo thing, John is just sometimes just playing straight chords, because during that solo it's just C to A minor, C to G. Then they come back, just call on. They come back and singing. But on the record, if you want to, I don't know if it's like splicing or what happened, but if you want to emulate exactly how the record would be, here's what you'd have to do for John. So coming out of a with love, you have to hit 2 A's and then low E. E. That's what you'd have to do to get it to sound like the record, because there's either spliced in there or there's extra guitars, but you'll see when I do the sound alike at the end, that's what I do. And that gets the sound of the it could be the bass. I don't know what happened actually on that part during the record, but that's what you need to do if you want to get John's exact part like the record, or just strum through it. Okay, back to a verse. The bridge is the same. Back to the And the only thing is at the very, very end, there's one other chord. Okay, from me to you. So it's anticipated all these. John goes like A minor, and then you need a G sharp augmented, and John plays it here. All right, see that chord? So with love from me to. Got it? Again, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com, so you could play it exactly like John Lennon, but those are the parts you'll need. George Harrison gets the award for super cool parts on From Me to You. And remember, he was just 20 years old when he recorded this in '63. And things are different today, because 20-year-olds are blowing up and down the neck like Alan Holdsworth, because they see Alan play on YouTube, when they're kids, and they figure out, well, that's how we do things. But back in '63, musical references weren't as great as they are today. So nevertheless, George comes up with this very cool octave part at the beginning of From Me to You. And he came up with the part first, and then they decided later to double it with harmonica. So usually, the case sometimes with harmonica playing of John's is John comes up with the part first, but in this case, George comes up with the riff, and it's simple. It's just right, C D E D C D D A, and he plays it in octaves, right? If you don't know what octaves are, it's just 2 notes. He gets the C up there, he gets the C on the 10th fret of the D string, and he continues that octave move. So that's what he does on the intro. Now you'll need some different voicings of chords that George uses. His C is like this. A minor. Same G7. This F. A minor again. C to G, like that. And then a C. And then before the bridge, instead of playing a straight C7, he does a little line like that, which is kind of like playing root, 5th, root like a power chord, and then picking up the pinky to get to the, like cha-cha-cha. I always think of that when I think of George playing those kind of parts. But the real brilliance is that he's against John's kind of, rhythm and blues, strumming on his Rickenbacker. George is doing kind of a, mock calypso, reggae, island kind of feel. And it's like, quarter note, 2/8 notes, rest, and then a quarter note. And it, sounds like well, the second time he does that C7. I just think that part is just so cool, and it adds so much. He's 20 years old, and he's playing with John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and he has to come up with a part, and he comes up with that, and it's clever as can be. Again, I suggest you take a metronome, and play along and get that feel. You don't have to be as strict as I'm doing to teach it, because George is very loose and rhythmic, but that's the basic feel, Oh yeah, the very first time for the turnaround, he plays just a F to an E in octaves. I love that. And then the second time, 3, 4. A little cha-cha-cha to get to the C7. All right, on the bridge, his G minor is like this. All right. Up to a straight C. To an F. Back down to this F. Then into his D7, he plays a little pickup notes. Now on live, he always adds an extra F. He goes. But on the record, it's just. Now when he gets to his D7, he's kind of doing like, the Chet Atkins bouncing the root to the fifth. Like. And then strum a G. And then here he is with quarter note triplets. It's so beautiful. How does a 20-year-old know to do this? Pure genius. He plays the G. And then the G augmented. It's just fabulous. Back to. So let me do the bridge. Help me, Mr. Metronome. So it's I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on this we'll call it the harmonica solo or the middle, he plays the basic same riff that he played at the beginning, but he plays an octave lower. So he hits an A minor chord, then he goes. So again, it's the same notes, but played down here. And then this kind of an octave. Open 5th string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string. Repeats it. And then, right? So slowly. And back to F. Now on the record, he just plays, the same kind of cha-cha C7. But live, he always goes up here. So I'll probably do it like that for my cover. Okay, and then for this bridge, again G minor, and he moves that G minor up 2 frets, and he kind of gets like a C6. So it's like to an F. Which F is it? Yeah, that F. and then live, not on the record. On the record it's just, but live it's always. And on the record this time, he, instead of playing just a half note in G, he plays quarter notes. He goes to accent it more. Back to. Now, and then just a little D to C, and it's all in the F beat. It's one, and, you know. It goes A minor when they play the, and then jumps up to. Let me play it out from like C. We'll play it from the D7 going out. So it's like. Dig into that last A minor. Just a brilliant part by George Harrison. Just I can't stress it enough what a genius he was at 20 years old. Well, I put it all together, and this is for your reference. You know, play along with me and you'll get it just like John and George. So here's my sound alike. If there's anything that you want, Hope you enjoyed that, and I suggest you just use it as a reference. Play along with the John part and the George part and get it just like the Beatles. It's such a fun song to play. I encourage you to have that one in your repertoire because it's just it's a classic that's sometimes overlooked. And most importantly, when you play those old Beatles songs, have fun doing it because that's what playing the guitar should be all about. If you'd like to drop me a line, do so at MikePachelli.com. That's where you can download the charts and the tabs for this song and all the other lessons that I do. And if you would, please subscribe to this channel. So until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.